Oh, well, we sort of felt like this was coming. We knew there'd be a day that the pink would have to come on here and say that the world is now facing and it's coming on much faster. Let's go over to the board and look at the details at this time. So, by the way, if you're watching this video, make sure you check the date because this is time sensitive. This news can come and go at any time and change, which it will change. So, just going into June 2019, crop prices are up extraordinarily. The reason the U.S. crop prices are up is because of excessive rain, weather-related problems, flooding. The U.S. farmers are raising concerns about the size of the 2019 crop and the quality of it. The crop was planted well behind schedule in some places in the U.S. Swaths of farmland won't even be planted in 2019 because of the weather. What crops are being affected? Corn, wheat, and pretty much all grain futures are exploding higher. But nobody was surprised by this. We've been watching the weather now for several years. And what is this stuff? Why is my mirror always getting so dirty? Unfortunately, the poorest people of the world are the ones that are about to suffer from this. Do you think that the wealthy will pitch in and buy some food for people that can't afford it? What do you think? More than likely, they'll do the same thing that they did here in the U.S. In San Francisco, it is against the law for a citizen to go and feed a homeless person or even give them water or care of any kind. We have a war on the homeless here in the U.S. We feel as though the homeless aren't real people. But soon, there'll be far more homeless and far more hungry here in the U.S. It's just a matter of time. Of course, that's not all. Some of the problem with our own thinking, humanity, is to go with the cheapest, most profitable product you can sell. You don't want to hassle with hard to harvest crops and bugs and all that, so you take the easiest ones to grow, you make whatever you can out of it, and that's what you sell. And that's what's been happening in the world. Let's go over the board and see what capitalism is giving us. The problem is this, that 2/3 of the food production comes from just 9 species of plants. Sugarcane, maize, rice, wheat, potatoes, soybean, palm fruit, and beets, and cassava. The remaining 6,000 cultivated species are in decline. We're losing our species, our ability to feed ourselves because of this problem of food declining. Because loss of habitat, biodiversity, and topsoil. So, the world's food supply is definitely under threat, according to the UN. The UN says that the world's capacity to provide food is being undermined by humanity's failures. The number one failure is failing to protect biodiversity. Humans are failing to protect the natural support system that underpins the human diet. The biggest threats: chemical pollution, loss of topsoil. Species under threat are plants, birds, fish, and pollinators. So many people may be asking, well, why do we have to protect all this biodiversity? Can't humans just take over the planet and grow our food and be humans and not worry about all those other species and stuff? Oh, that is such stupid thinking. But that is the thinking of a lot of the right wing here in the U.S. They actually believe that we can remove all plants and animals and all threats, just have a paved over planet, and that we'll live just fine with that. Ignorance is bliss, isn't it? The reason we need birds is so important. Birds eat bugs that eat the crops that feed us. Birds destroy more bugs than all the pesticides in the world. They're so important to farmland, but yet farms do nothing to support birds, such as leaving some area untouched that is natural and native so that the bird populations can live there and eat the bugs that are over the food area. Well, why do we need all these pollinators? Can't we just do that with a machine that just sprays out pollen or something via airplane? Pollinators are so important to the entire biosphere, not to just humans. They're important for all the natural and native species that are out there. If they're gone, we're gone. Just that simple. Chemical and plastic pollution. Can you believe this stuff? When you look into plastic pollution, the newest pictures are just alarming, the amount of plastic that's washing up on beaches all over the planet. We must remove this because the animals think it's food and then end up starving to death and getting very sick from it as well. So, loss of topsoil. There's not much humans can do other than farmers to prevent the topsoil from being lost. Loss of topsoil is being caused purely by greed, no other reason. What would you need fish and fungus for? Well, fish that run up and down the rivers end up dying after they spawn. Then birds and other animals go down and eat the fish, drag them up on the shore, and eat them and leave the remains. There's so many remains that this ends up rotting and adding to the topsoil. Then the fungus that's in the ground carries this nutrients to where they're needed, which is dictated by the plants that they surround. Fungus lives everywhere in the soil. Trees, grasslands, bogs, they all require fungus, so that the fungus, which carries nutrients all over the place under the ground, similar to the way the internet works, brings nutrients to the forests, grasslands, and including farmlands. But unfortunately, the farmlands were killing off all the fungus that lives in the dirt that provides nutrients to the soil. And that's why so many farms, the soils are becoming so sandy and useless for growing food in. What would happen if we did lose our food, or most of our food, and we began to starve? It's not a pretty picture, because the wild food has declined so far that hardly any humans would even be able to live out in the wild anymore. There just isn't enough wild species of food out there, and the education factor to process that wild food isn't there. So bugging out is impossible. Your best bet is to find all the different food species you can find and plant your own gardens. Give the seeds away to your friends and neighbors. That's the only way it's going to happen. You have to take the Cuba model and not the US model for feeding itself. Another must-do is put our crops indoors in the cities so that we can free up the land for biodiversity. And pollinators and other animals. It's not just about humans. Even though it does seem like it, doesn't it? It's too bad that all the animals didn't get the same smarts that humans did. Could you imagine what would happen then? So, I definitely appreciate all the ups and downs and the new comments, which are so screwed up by YouTube, I don't even know how many I have or where they are. They're just gone. But I do appreciate a lot of the comments that I get to read. Some of them show up, some don't. The ups, the downs, and definitely the new subscribers. And YouTube, I just love the game you're playing. But it doesn't matter because this channel isn't about getting the most subscribers and the most hits and all that. It's just to help protect our planet from ourselves.